We have offered our teachers the chance to study this book, The Global Achievement Gap. We were hoping we'd have maybe a quarter of the teachers be willing to study from this book, and we would talk, never in person, but it would be electronic through a wiki, where we have conversation, and we actually do a book study online and never meet. 53 of the 80-plus licensed teachers signed up to participate. And we're reading into the intro and chapters 1 and 2 right now. We have had tons of postings on the wiki website. I have had more conversations. Scott emailed me last night late, not in the wiki, but just, geez, boss, right? I'm not sure why, but he calls me boss, okay? And something he'd read was, a trigger to some conversation again. But it talks about that achievement gap and high-performing schools whose kids can regurgitate facts. But is that how we measure high performance in schools today? So we're taking Iowa core curriculum and 21st century learning skills as an opportunity to really look at esccac County at what should instruction look like. And we're wondering even if some of our kids that are the most disengaged, our most at-risk kids, if not part of that could be from actually how we teach and how we approach the curriculums that we have. Because you know what? Simply by changing the approach in the classroom often picks up a few more kids that are more engaged. And we have kids that are just disengaged from school. I mean, they're just barely passing the core subjects. And yet we know they're bright. Very few of those kids are not smart enough to be able to do average or above work. And so in our school system in esccac County, we're going to take some time and really study and think about how we might move from just compliance to a state law to some commitment to some real change, because we really think we owe it to students to take a look at that approach. And it will mean practices of teachers may need to change. They actually will have to change. Okay, no beating around the bush. They're going to have to change. We did say to the teachers we invited to be part of this process that if you don't join in the group that's the leadership group, you're still going to need to do everything we're asking everybody to do. You can either get in early or we can drag you along later, but somehow or another there's going to be some change that takes place. Teachers that are in here, any comments? Scott or counselors, Kevin? No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I
just say that the book is very thought-provoking. You picture how immediately you're thinking, how can I adapt my classroom? By questioning deeper critical thinking skills instead of just the recall of the basics. Not to entertain the child, but just to engage them. Just right away, it's thought-provoking.
I think of just as a parent with 4 kids in the system and just thinking about the idea that kind of the urgency of we really need to change so that my kids are going to have the opportunity to be competitive when they graduate in the world of work. And so I think of it as a parent that this is good and let's move.
What we talk in here about in this book isn't really very new to Scott's department. I mean, there is change in it, but our vocational classes operate a lot like this already. They're inquiry-based and project-based, but the whole realm of communication and how we communicate has to look different and how kids work. So we're up for some challenge, but we think it's a good Iowa core and 21st century learning skills are really a good reason to take a look at that. So you'll get fed information. These 2 things that we just watched, both of the school boards will see on the 13th and the 14th. And then in May, they'll look at 2 more pieces of things that we've actually shown teachers. And by about July, the school boards will look at some classrooms. What do classrooms look like that have this kind of learning that really is at a whole different mode than what we might see in all of our classrooms. We have pockets of what needs to go on in our school right now. There's some teachers that are really implementing these practices already, but they're kind of lone rangers. We certainly don't have 20% of our staff doing this by any means. So you can look forward to this. The newsletter article for May that I just finished up is about this very topic. and you will see it in the newspapers. There's going to be lots and lots the next 2 or 3 years about this